of the coaching staff, quote, aren't good at their jobs. Another player said the coaches are totally unprepared. They don't teach.
I haven't been part of any of those type of discussions. I think, like a lot of things, when you hit a part of your season or any challenge where there is negativity out there, where it comes from and who it comes from. I mean, that's something that I've never chased, but I think you do have to recognize it. I think it's important to handle things as men. I mean, if you do have something to say publicly that is of most importance, I think it's important to say it to the individual, particularly in a group dynamic setting, and especially in a game of football, especially for the Dallas Cowboys.
All right, that was Cowboys head coach Mike McCarthy trying to squash things there. I also want to add in that unnamed report by NFL Network, one of the players also said they don't have any sense of how to adjust on the fly. So big mess over there. We brought in Ryan Clark here. RC, always good to see you. I'll get to you in just a moment. But Stephen A., obviously, I'm starting with you. Is this a bigger problem for the players or the coaches?
Oh, it's the coaches. Just make no mistake about it. Because, see, even when you look at the players and you talk about effort, that still comes down to the coach. Because in the end, it's his job to hold you accountable. If you're not giving effort, I'll put somebody on the damn field who is going to give that effort. That's number one. When you're talking about things schematically, that is definitely an indictment, particularly against this specific coach. Because I'm here to tell you something. If you are a head coach with a Super Bowl championship on your resume, and Aaron Rodgers is still your quarterback, and you still get fired, there's something wrong with you. Because you got a Super Bowl ring, and you got Aaron Rodgers as your quarterback, and they still say you ain't the man for the job. I mean, damn. I can't think of a bigger indictment against you than that. Okay, that's the only thing that would even equate to that, Max and Ryan and Molly, is if Andy Reid got fired because he's a Super Bowl champion with Patrick Mahomes as his coach, and he still got fired. I mean, come on now. That stuff.
If he went like 10 years with Mahomes without winning again.
Yeah, exactly. But I'm saying there's something wrong with that picture. And then when you walk out the door and they're saying you're past your prime, that you're a bit archaic and stuff like that, you lose your job. You're gone for a year. You come back knowing you went around the league, you went to different practices, you talked about in your introductory press conference how you've learned the error of your ways, you've heard the criticism and the skepticism about you, and you think you've modified things to some degree. And what do? You go out and you hire a guy as a defensive coordinator. The last time we saw him was 6 years early in Atlanta when he had the second worst defense in the National Football League. There's a reason he couldn't get another coordinator's job for 6 years. What the hell you hired him for? So these are the kind of things that we have to look at when we talk about players. And I want to say this and then give it to Ryan and Max before I chime back in later. Here's the deal. I'm not one of those dudes that's down with, oh, you want to whisper and chirp behind somebody's back. If you can't say it to their face, then shut up. Because I don't give a damn what criticism I had. Ain't a damn thing I haven't said to somebody's face that I say behind their back. I'll say it to their face. The exception is football. Because the NFL and the way it's structured and the things that an organization has the power to do and the myriad of ways they can come up with justifying ostracizing you, pigeonholing you, minimizing you, etc., is so greatly against the players that the players really don't have any recourse but to speak out privately in a clandestine fashion. They don't really have a choice in the National Football League. Unlike any other sport, that sport, I mean, they could find ways to get rid of 99% of the dudes in the league and nobody would notice. So I can't blame them for so much. The issue is Mike McCarthy and his staff. And let me tell y'all something, last quote. I wouldn't be surprised if it continues to nosedive, and I'm not saying it will because they got a weak schedule. But if it continues to nosedive, I wouldn't be surprised if Mike McCarthy is fired before this season's over.
And it won't do a damn thing because it's not the coach and it's not the players. It's the owner/GM. That's right. I'm going right back to that. Why? Because they're the ones doing the drafting. They're putting the coaching staff in place to develop. And their sense was this team is ready to win. Look at this talent we've assembled. It's the head coach failed on two levels, if talking about Jason Garrett. One, the play calling, right? Like you draft Ezekiel Elliott 4th overall. He exceeds the expectations. If anything, you have a great offensive line, and you're punting from midfield instead of going for it on 4th and 1. Stuff like that. Okay, that's not going to fly. and especially in the modern NFL. And the other thing was the CEOing of it all. Jason Garrett wasn't the right CEO for the job. But Mike McCarthy, he said he knows the analytics now. He didn't pay attention to them before, but now he understands he must pay attention to them. And that's a CEO of an organization. Look at him. He's a Super Bowl champion, and the Green Bay Packers, too, the frozen tundra, right? And he was presided over this for a long time. So he's the right guy to put in place because, damn it, we have the players. No, you don't. The reason that we always overvalue or overestimate the value of the Cowboys players is because they're the most covered team. So we're familiar with them. We can name their whole offensive line. I mean, and the offensive line deserved it. But what other team can you name so many players on that you know by name in the NFL, the average fan, as the Cowboys, because they're covered constantly. And so they're a little bit overvalued as players, as talents, both sides of the ball. No, the owner who keeping himself as GM is not assembling as much talent as he thinks he is. This team was not as ready as he thought they were. And it wasn't just an issue of getting the best kind of CEO feeling kind of coach who claims he knows analytics, but really won't get the credit if they win. Jerry would get the credit if they win. But really, Jerry knows he can push around because he has very limited leverage because he was not in high demand. That's the problem. The owner/GM, Jerry Jones.
No, listen, this is an organizational failure on all three levels: players, coaches, and ownership. Very much like this defense is a failure on all three levels: front line, linebacking core, secondary. Now, when you look at this team, of course, the players are going to stick together. I mean, this is as old as Varsity Blues. What happened? Mox, Tweeter, Billy Bob, Lance, they all stuck together. It was Coach Kilmer that was outside pulling his pants up, standing next to a statue of himself outside the high school. So you know that those guys are going to stick together. But even if the players stick together, yeah, Stephen A., you can coach effort, but you know what? You got to give effort. And you can coach it up and tell me where the X's and O's are supposed to fit, but I have to be there. And then who would have ever thought that having a sleepover wasn't the way to pick a coach? Yes, Jerry Jones and Mike McCarthy had a sleepover. Two very grown adult men decided to do their business deal, to do their interview at a sleepover. What were they in, onesies with the little buttons on the butt that you put up together? I don't know what that is. That's not the way business is supposed to be done. And so now you want to talk about analytics? You know what he said? This was a people problem he had today. And during that interview, when he was talking about the players and what was going on, the next question was, do you think you guys have gotten better? You know what he said? Well, the analytics say this ain't an analytic issue right now. They ask you a simple question from the point of leadership. As a team, since you've gotten here, have you gotten better? It's an easy yes or no answer. If you do have a Super Bowl winning coach, if you do have a coach that has coached one of the greatest players of all time in Aaron Rodgers, I'm not hiring you to tell me what the analytics say. I'm not going to come on this show and have Max, who loves analytics, have Stephen A., who's been in journalism his whole life. I'm not going to talk to y'all two people about analytics and journalism. I'm going to talk to y'all about football because football is what I lived and what I do. Mike McCarthy has lost himself. He ain't had himself in a long time.